elsewhere or otherwise engaged. So I'm going to do my best to give you an idea about what our new Energy Bill of Rights is all about, and also how you can get involved, because we would really love to have more people involved in building that. Fuel Poverty Action is a grassroots campaign for affordable green energy in the control of the public and of communities. We're very keen on challenging the false idea that you can either campaign and work for combating poverty, or you can campaign against climate change, and that you have to choose, basically, because we can't have both. We can't have a reduction in poverty and a safe climate, and we think that that's just a lie. The costs of green energy are falling. The potential of insulation to reduce the wastage of energy is enormous. There are local energy co-ops springing up across the country, including here in London, showing that there are alternative ways of doing things. So an alternative to the status quo is possible, and it is possible to challenge social injustice and poverty at the same time as climate change. And they're also inextricably linked, because we know that if climate change gets completely out of control, that's going to cause displacement, it's going to cause increased competition for scarce resources, it's going to cause conflicts and social problems, as well as environmental disasters. So I think actually the groups that we work with reflect those dual concerns that we have. So we work with groups concerned with social justice and poverty, including the Greater London Pensioners Association, Disabled People Against Cuts, UK Uncut, and then we work with groups like Reclaim the Power, very concerned with climate change. And we think actually a lot of the people campaigning on the different issues share the same concerns, and the two issues are two sides of the same coin. On the 27th of October, we launched our Energy Bill of Rights. I've got some copies, actually, seeing as I haven't got any clever slides. Maybe I'll hand them round and you can all keep one. It's also got all our details on, if anyone's able to get in touch with us and say that they want to get involved. So we launched this on the 27th of October in the Houses of Parliament. It was a fantastic, inspiring event once we'd managed to get the actual Energy Bill of Rights itself through security, because apparently it looked like a very dangerous object. We had a packed out committee room with over 100 people from all sorts of different groups. And it was a great event, a great start for this campaign. You can see for yourselves what's in it. Basically, it's a statement of the rights that we think that we all have in relation to energy. So we think we all have the right to have enough energy to keep warm in the winter and to cook food, which some people are being denied currently. We think we all have the right to energy that doesn't harm us, the environment, or the climate. So we think we have a right to energy that isn't going to completely ruin the planet for future generations, and that isn't contributing to the already raising rates of natural disasters across the world. We think we have a right to a fair pricing system, so that the people who use the least energy, who can't afford to use more energy, aren't paying more per unit, because the standing charge means that currently they are. And we think we have the right not to be cut off from our supply, or to be forced to cut ourselves off through unwanted prepayment meters. So you can read the rest of the rights yourself. You'll see that there's, again, a mixture here between rights expressing concern for social justice and rights expressing concern for the climate and the future and safety of the climate. If I tell you a little bit about the people who were there at the launch, that might give a further idea about the sort of coalition we're looking for and already working with, coming from the sort of social justice campaigns on the one side and the climate change campaigns on the other. We started off actually with a couple of MPs who were very supportive of the campaign, Caroline Lucas from the Greens and John McDonnell from Labour. And they were both saying, yeah, this is great, you should be making this an issue before the election, as other groups are obviously trying to do with their aspects of these issues. But they were also talking about the people in their constituencies who they know will be dying this winter in cold homes because they can't afford to heat their home and eat properly. So they were obviously aware of that issue that is very important and dear to our hearts as well. We had people from the Greater London Pensioners Association and from Single Mothers Self-Defence talking about how people that they work with and their members are disproportionately affected by fuel poverty. We had a former student talking about how when she was a student it just seemed normal to live in cold, damp accommodation, and that was just seen as part of the student experience, when in fact that's fuel poverty and that's not really acceptable. We had 2 social housing tenants, one who'd come down all the way from Carlisle to talk about the situation with his housing association, where people are paying just extortionately high bills, which are far more than what their neighbours are paying for services, due to an incompetent housing agency that doesn't give them any control or even very much knowledge about their energy supplies. And we had a similar story from the Pembroke estate in West London, and we heard some great stories about how people are beginning to sort of get together, form groups so they can confront housing associations and energy suppliers together and try to break out of that position of powerlessness that they sometimes find themselves in. We had anti-fracking activists talking about the connection between fuel poverty and their campaigns, and again challenging this narrative that somehow fracking is going to bring our bills down, which was sort of peddled at the beginning of the movement towards fracking, and which, even the chairman of Quadrilla has admitted that, is unlikely to have any significant impact on what we pay here. We had somebody from the World Development Organization making the point that the same energy companies that are ripping people off here are the same energy companies who are carrying on sort of neo-colonial exploitation in places like Nigeria. So we had a really diverse coalition in that room, and we want to really carry on working with people across that spectrum. Just to give a little bit more context for this issue of fuel poverty, we're going to be out demonstrating on the 20th of November again this year, on the day that the winter death statistics come out. Last time we had those statistics for 2012 to 2013. Those statistics suggested that about 10,000 people in the UK died prematurely due to fuel poverty in that winter, which we think is obscene and disgusting in a country that is so developed and comparatively wealthy as Britain. You may have heard a story recently in the press about a man called David Clapson, who was found dead in his home. He had lost his energy supply. He couldn't. I'm not sure whether it was he had to self-disconnect through a prepayment meter or whether he was just disconnected, but he didn't have a fridge to chill his insulin in that he needed for his diabetes. He didn't have the money to eat properly because of benefit sanctions. And that's like the kind of scenario and situation that means that this particular group is focused on fuel poverty. There are hundreds of unwanted prepayment meters being installed sort of weekly across the UK, which mean that even though energy companies have no right to disconnect people who are vulnerable directly from their supply, they can enforce a prepayment meter so that people who then can't afford to feed the meter and who are generally paying more in a meter end up self-disconnecting. So I hope that gives an idea of the urgency of that side of our campaign. And with the Energy Bill of Rights, what we're wanting to do is to change the rhetoric and the debate a bit around climate change and fuel poverty, and move from a position of sort of pleading for affordable energy and consideration of the urgency of climate change to a position of demanding energy rights that we think are basic rights. We want to inspire discussion about what we can do about these issues and problems. We want to build grassroots solidarity so that more and more people who are challenging their energy suppliers or their housing associations on unfair situations are doing it in groups and with support. And I think someone from our group has been, we do sort of respond to some individual worries that come through our website, and someone from our group did a great job of supporting a couple who were having this ongoing battle with British Gas about their energy bill, which I believe had a lot of the debt that they owed had actually come from previous tenants, and it was partly just incompetence on the part of the company that they had this massive bill, and they were in a difficult situation themselves. It was really grinding them down, and someone from our group was sort of supporting them on that, and I think it made a real difference to have a bit of extra support and not just to be facing it on their own. And British Gas seems to be actually finally backing down after a long ongoing battle. So we really keen on building that sort of grassroots solidarity and building sort of joint action. We don't want to be promoting sort of a kind of a feeling of people doing this as charity. We want it to be joint action. And we hope that the Energy Bill of Rights will also inspire all kinds of action on fuel poverty and climate change. I'll stop talking in a minute, but I just wanted to tell you the various ways in which you could get involved with this campaign. And we do really need more people at the moment. First of all, we've got some useful resources that you might like to have a look at on our website. We've got an energy rights mini guide, which sort of goes through some of the practical things that you can do to claim the rights that you already legally have. So advice on switching suppliers, avoiding unwanted prepayment meters, and the rights of renters. And we've also got some little know your rights cards, which are easy to put in a community centre for people just to pick up, or for even to post through doors or put in a housing association. So if you'd like any of those, if you think your community centre or people around you could use them, then please email us and let us know, and we'll get some to you. We can also provide training to people who want to know more about energy rights and how to protect them. People from our group have been doing that, and that could be a really nice way of getting people in the local community together to think about this and build solidarity. So please, again, just email us if you're interested in training, and we might be able to provide it. Last winter we had lots of coffee mornings, which were a great